Curriculum overload. What's happening? Curriculum overload has been a constant reoccurrence throughout the past decades as seen from these news articles. With a variety of subjects, duplication of content, and difficult learning materials in the Australian curriculum, teachers have been experiencing an overwhelming weight of workload. Curriculum overload is the excessive load of a teacher's imbalanced capacity to enact upon the syllabus. Why is it an issue? 3 contributions to an overcrowded syllabus are 1. Syllabus objectives and outcomes impact teachers' pedagogies. 2. Globalization and technological changes. 3. A lack of educators' involvement in the national curriculum development. All 3 factors derive from a political perspective on educational achievements with a mean to measure the outcomes for politicians' desired results. Teachers' professionalism of curriculum into practice. Education's initiative is to provide children as active and informed citizens, utilizing their judgments and responsibility of morality, ethics, and social justice in contributing to society. However, according to the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, child-centered program is overshadowed by the contents, objectives, and its desired outcomes impacting teachers' pedagogies. Thus, children's learning will be driven by politicians' focus on outcome rather than envisaging children as cognitive learners building connections and meaningful relationships in a community context. Marsh emphasizes teachers will be illustrated as antagonists in the educational system, alienated from students due to the overload of content and assessments. Ironically, education is to support teachers and benefit students to improve on their cognitive development through experiential learning, which are both interesting and enjoyable. Ditchburn expresses that economic competition with global context is defining national educational agendas and priorities and the importance of students developing necessary knowledge and skills to compete in this market-driven context. Today, in the 21st century, globalization and technological changes affects education upon an international level with competitiveness for greater demands. These demands pressure states and teachers to achieve the national statutory assessment standards in building upon children's cognitive learning. Democratically, schooling is an aspect of the national productivity agenda to educate children with the skills and knowledge for their success of future employment, ensuring an ongoing economic prosperity as future workers and consumers. The increased demands of metacognitive skills revolutionized the social world of young people to improve Australia's overall international ranking in a globalized context. Educators' involvement in curriculum development. The process and consultation of the national curriculum were based on government's endeavours representing educational stakeholders. This syllabus was considered satisfactory, however it did not conclude with satisfactory outcomes. Majani states that due to the increase of subjects with inadequate time allocations, teachers were overwhelmed with meeting the societal expectations derivative from the government, reinforcing weight added to teachers' workload. With a lack of educators' involvement of the curriculum processes, the curriculum did not realistically consider the timeframe for contents to be taught. For example, if teachers were to carry out the overloaded curriculum, children will be illustrated by their successes and failures rather than their cognitive learning. Slow learners will not obtain individual assistance, and so the lack of equality a democracy conception presented will decrease students' learning opportunities. How is it overcame? A traditional approach for curriculum overload is a thematic approach. It is for educators recommends an integration of subjects for teachers to reduce the duplication of content. The possibility of children understanding an inherent connection between subjects make it simpler for children to learn. However, this approach is not necessarily an effective approach for students studying the content. Differences in academic culture and ability democratically disadvantaged students without experiential learning impacts their sense of belonging within the class. Students' absentees cause them to miss content pedagogies and may lead to a decrease of connection with others. Both themes are fundamental integral of human existence that builds upon children's motivation and engagement in teachers' pedagogies, creating their strong sense of well-being. This approach causes teachers to be less organized in comparison to other approaches, such as inquiry-based approach. A devised alternative approach addressing curriculum overload stems from both the collaborative teaching and the inquiry-based learning approaches. This approach focuses on teachers co-planning to monitor and scaffold their students. As facilitators, teachers question students to prompt their curiosity, initiate exploration, and deepen understanding of topics, intending to reflect children as competent, involved learners. Questioning acknowledges teachers' initiative to recognize and understand children's academic and ability differences, taking into consideration throughout their pedagogies. The presence of equity throughout this approach is crucial for students to establish their sense of identity within a classroom with cognitive learning opportunities provided by educators. Recommendations of a covent relationship between teachers and parents is beneficial for children's academic achievement and personal growth. A positive collaboration between teaching staff, parents, and children enriches teachers' knowledge of their students' personal development. Policy and practice changes required to support new approach surroundings the topic of administrators providing a variety of support to educators. These include providing professional development of specific subject, utilizing the approach to understand its procedures in preparation to educate students themselves. Quoted by the National Research Council, every school has a measure of expertise and experience, and so educators are not limited to learning from an individual, however, an educational organization. Another one would be interpreting the approach for both the parents and the public. Informing educational stakeholders about the basis of educators' pedagogies open up a discussion of students' adjustment that they will have to make in order to achieve their educational goal. Assessment procedure aligned with the approach outcomes is an effective time management task for teachers to view if the learning-based pedagogy is successful or requires improvement. Administrators can examine and review the methodology used in class to understand children's ability in adapting and learning. The fourth and final policy and practice changes is the appropriate teacher evaluation procedures. Formal and informal evaluation is required to be consistent with the elements of the new approach for issues to not rise. Innovative strategies should be objective, evaluated with a complete understanding of the pedagogical approach. How teachers incorporate curriculum material is essential for children's cognitive development. I hope that this presentation draws the basis of the issue regarding curriculum overload.